Hello, hola, ciao, and bonjour. What's the rest of it? Who's what's it? Your eyeballs are mine, caught in my electroweb. Welcome to the Iono Zone. Anyway, so today, I wanted to show you guys, some the VGC teams that I didn't end up using. So, basically, what I do for VGC is that I'm trying to think of the words. I come up with, if I have multiple ideas for teams, I basically give them each a run. And what that basically means is whichever team gets the most consecutive wins is the one I end up rolling for the year. It's not a perfect system, but it's the one that works for me. So I wanted to go over the three teams that I didn't end up using, the ones that, didn't get the most amount of consecutive wins. And the thing about this is that I actually put more thought into these teams than the one I ended up rolling with, so I hope you end up using one of them. So first one we got here, Loaded Dice. So as soon as the Loaded Dice item was announced, I knew I had to use it. Cloyster is one of my favorite Pokemon that I've ever used competitively, and what makes Cloyster so good is that it has a perfect combination of Shell Smash, Skill Link, and two good multi-hit moves, Icicle Spear and Rock Blast. So when I heard you could pretty much just slap Skill Link onto any Pokemon with this item, I had to do it. There was no way I was gonna not do it. So I narrowed it down to two options. The highest power move, multi-hit move, two of them, because, well, there's more than two, but only two of them had 100% accuracy, and it was Bullet Seed and Icicle Sphere. Icicle Spear, not Icicle Sphere. Bullet Seed and Icicle Spear. And the two best users of those moves, besides Cloyster, was Breloom and Baxcalibur. And I decided to go with Breloom because he had Technician, even though Baxcalibur had higher stats all across the board. So, what's Breloom's job here is to basically use Bullet Seed. That's all he does. His Tera type is Grass to pump out even more damage from Bullet Seed. So Technician is there to kind of, boost the damage. You can get over 200. You can turn Bullet Seed into an over 200 base power move just because of Technician. So that's on the Cloyster checklist. That's the offense. The attack. Now, the problem with Breloom is that it has base 70 speed. But we can fix that with Talonflame. He's got Tailwind. Talonflame is the fastest Pokemon that learns both Tailwind and Taunt. Iron Julius is another option. because it's a little faster, a little slower than Talonflame, but it has decent bulk. But, you know, Paradox Pokemon aren't legal currently. They will be legal in February, but right now they're not legal. So, we have Talonflame. There's also Noivern. Noivern could be, but, you know, it's Noivern. So yeah, I've got, so basically, I'm good at playing the game. I know this. But I am not good at team building, and the reason for that is the EVs. I've always sucked at math. Back in school, it was always my worst subject. So I always really struggle with the EVs. So yeah, that's kind of where I have difficulty. You know, just allocating the stat points, because you don't always want to have 252, 252. But then, you know, it has to be divisible by 4, but it can't be divisible by 8. It's a whole mess. So, I went with 220 HP on Talonflame just to kind of give it some extra bulk. This can, as long as it's not a rock type move, it can allow it to survive one super effective hit. And then, you know, it's Talonflame. He also does big damage. I went with Life Orb, because, you know, you're going to be taking the recoil from Flare Blitz and Brave Bird anyway, so, you know, you might as well go all in. Next we have Dudunsparce. I went with a more defensive spread, but I really think you could put some attack into this. You know, get some more use out of Hyper Drill. But basically, Dudunsparce, he uses Glare, and then he uses Rock Slide. So, his Tera type is Rock for that. And, yeah, that's pretty much what he does. He's Dudunsparce. But yeah, I really think you can put some extra EVs into the attack. Again, I'm really bad with the EV allocations, so I don't know from where and from what you would put it into that, but you know, it's I think you should put some more attack into that. And then we have Gardevoir. Gardevoir, I was a bit skeptical at first, but Gardevoir will pretty much just erase anything with Teferi. With Tera Fairy and Moonblast, I call it the Sailor Moonblast. You can just eliminate Dragonite, Garchomp, Hydreigon, anything at all that's weak to Fairy. It's just gone. So Gardevoir is actually really good, but it needs that Choice Scarf. Otherwise, it's we're just gonna ignore that. Otherwise, it's you know, it won't be fast enough. Although with Tailwind, you might not need the choice cards, but you can't always rely, because Tailwind only works for 5 turns, right? You can't always rely on the Tailwind. So, yeah, choice cards worth having. Telepathy will make sense at the end of this team. But Trace could be really good. There's a lot of really good abilities out there that you might want to snag with Trace. Then we have Kingambit. Kingambit, he is the Trick Room counter. I considered using Swords Dance over Sucker Punch because in Trick Room, you're just gonna... Most Trick Rooms also run Psychic Terrain, so Sucker Punch is kind of useless. But I decided to go with Choice Band. Supreme Overlord is nice. You can make a case that Defiant is better. In fact, I personally think Defiant's better, but you can't always... the only way you would, get Defiant to work for you is if, you get intimidated. You can't always rely on that, so Supreme Overlord is kind of a way you can kind of, guarantee the boost. Tera Ghost, because you have a 4 times weakness to fighting, but you don't anymore with Tera Ghost. So yeah, you can... And the best part about Kingambit is that he just negates Golden Go. He's golden gone. Yeah, he just gets rid of Golden Go. It's just... If you have trouble with Golden Go, Kingambit's your man. And then finally we have Gyarados. He's got Intimidate, he's got Clear Amulet, so he doesn't get intimidated. Now, I went with Tera Dragon, because, number one, it resists Electric, and because I think it's funny to turn him into a Dragon type by putting a little stupid dragon hat on him. But Tera Ground is what I would recommend over that. I just think it's funny to go Tera Dragon on him. But I would recommend Tera Ground instead, especially because Earthquake. This is why Gardevoir has Telepathy. That's the only way I can justify using Earthquake on this team is because Gardevoir is immune to it, and so is Talonflame. But yeah, I really don't like using moves like Earthquake normally, because I really don't like the idea of killing my own guys. But yeah, that's the loaded dice team. Basically, the main concept is Talonflame. You start out with Talonflame, Breloom. You do big D damage. Then you bring in the Dudunsparce, and then... Or, it really depends on who you're up against. If you got something that resists grass, maybe don't bring in the Breloom. But yeah, and then, these are your offensive cleaning crew. They kind of take care of that, and then Dudunsparce is your second support with the Paralyze and the Flinch Chance plus Serene Grace from Rock Slide. That's nice. But yeah, I didn't want to use Tailwind, because I don't like to use the same strategy twice. And, you know, I've already used Tailwind, I've already used Trick Room, but if I thought like that, eventually I wouldn't have any more strategies to use. So yeah, that's the Loaded Dice team. I hope you use it, because this is actually the one I was most excited about using. Unfortunately, it did not get the most consecutive wins, though, but, you know. Next we have his Population Bomb. So, Mousehold, he's fast, he's got Technician, he's holding a King's Rock, and Population Bomb hits for 10 times if it never misses. And Tera normal, because even more damage. I put Tidy Up on him, you know, raises his attack and speed. It also clears Substitute, but it's really not that useful. Population Bomb, you might not even need the King's Rock, because Population Bomb one-shots pretty much everything. So, a lot of things don't even, like, survive to be flinched by the King's Rock, and to that effect, you really don't need the attack boost or the speed boost from Tidy Up. Although clearing Substitute is nice, but I have not yet faced anyone using Substitute, so... Next we have Masquerain. Now this one might look a little weird, but Masquerain is actually, you know, don't knock him until you try him. Masquerain is the second fastest Pokemon to learn Sweet Scent, and that's kind of my answer to Population Bomb's 90% accuracy. It's to make sure we get those 10 hits, is to lower the evasiveness of all our enemies. With Sweet Scent, the fastest Pokemon with Sweet Scent is Salazzle, not Masquerain, but Masquerain is the fastest Pokemon that knows Sweet Scent and Tailwind, which is, you know, good. And also Masquerain gets Sticky Web, which is, you know, extra speed control, Intimidate. You got the U-turn so he can get out of dodge if he needs to. Because I thought about putting Bug Buzz on him, but, you know, he's not going to be doing any damage. Yeah, Masquerain is super underrated. He's a good mon. Next we have Armor Rogue. Now sometimes Tailwind's not the answer. Sometimes Trick Room's the answer. And this is your boy. Also, Mousehold can't touch Golden Go. But thankfully for us, Armor Rogue can. He does so much damage. And when you're countering Trick Room, Expanding Force is good, because, you know, most Trick Room teams also use Psychic Terrain. So, you can take advantage of that. Or, you know, you can also use Trick Room, like if you see your opponent has a Tailwind user on their team, maybe you'll want to use Trick Room to counter their Tailwind. I was really hesitant to have both Tailwind and Trick Room on the same team, but it actually is really nice to have those options. And of course, Wide Guard. Wide Guard. Listen, you got Wide Guard on Armor Rogue. Golden Go is gone. He's golden gone. So, I thought about having Shadow Ball on him to deal with Cerulege, and then maybe like change the Tera type to Ghost, but yeah, Wide Guard. Wide Guard's just better. Next we have Palmot. Palmot I'm telling you right now, Palma is going to be a sleeper support. The support that's actually really good, that everyone sleeps on, is going to be Palma. Because here's what this guy gets. He gets Fake Out. He gets Nuzzle. That guaranteed Paralyze with a little bit of damage. Revival Blessing. Oh my god, Revival Blessing is so freaking good. A lot of the times, one Pokemon goes down and you're like, well, that's the game. There's nothing I can salvage, do to salvage this match. The crux of my strategy was just destroyed. Boom, Revival Blessing. You can only use it once, and PP Up does not work on it, but it's a lifesaver. It's really good. And I wasn't sure what to do with the last slot, so Sweet Kiss. Because why not? Confusion good. Now for the EV spread, I went all in on defense again, but I think you could take some. Because I suck with EVs. This is why I'm not a very good team builder. I'm a good battler. I know that much. I am confident in that, but I'm not confident about my team building abilities because I always suck with the EVs. And so I think you could put some speed investment into him. I went hard in on the defense. And even in his special defense is really a vulnerable point. But yeah, I think you could put some in the speed, maybe outspeed a couple things. But yeah, I just don't know where you would take it and how much. Again, it's the same thing with the Dudunsparce. Where I think it could use a little something extra in one area. I just don't know where I would take, what area it would take from, and how much. Yeah. Next we have Annihilate. There's a lot of Annihilate strategies going around. I'm seeing Choice Scarfs, I'm seeing Choice Bands, Bulk Up, but I'm not seeing Assault Vest, and honestly, it's pretty good. 90 base special defense. Put an Assault Vest on it, he can take a good amount of special attacks. A lot of people run Vital Spirit, but I think running Defiant is better, because you get if you get intimidated, you get the boost. And so many people will assume you run Vital Spirit that it kind of they won't even try to put your Annihilate to sleep. So you can have a pseudo Vital Spirit in that way. But what Annihilate does is not complete without explaining what Fortress does. So, number one, he's got Pin Missile. I thought about using Jolteon, but I couldn't really find a use for Jolteon outside of Pin Missile. Rage Fist gets plus 50 power every time it gets hit. So, you 4 times resist Pin Missile, hit him 5 times. There you go. Alternatively, you can also hit him with Masquerade's U-Turn. But Pin Missile, you'll get that damage sky high. And the reason I went with Fortress is because So when Terrestrialization was announced, I didn't think it would be that useful. Of course, we didn't know the full extent of it. I didn't know you kept your stab upon changing types. I'm just like, okay, you change type. That's completely worthless on so many different Pokemon. Why would you want to like give up your stab? You have like no for a type that you have no moves for. But that's not how that works. So because of Terrestrialization, Body Press has become like my new favorite move. Because let me tell you, it would be useless, basically useless without Terrestrialization, but with it, Fortress can do so much damage with Body Press. And, you know, you got Curse to pump that up even more. And I put a Lumberry on him so you can get a rest. You can pretty much only use this once per match. But it helps a lot. So Fortress, he buffs Annihilate, and then he starts taking lives. And yeah, that's this team. It's basically just built around Mousehold. He hits things with Population Bomb. They don't survive, and if they do survive, they get flinched with the King's Rock. And finally, we have a Sun team. This is the one that kinda I went most crazy with. So last year, VGC 2022, I used Torkoal for a little bit, and let me tell you, I'm never going to say anything bad about Torkoal again. He took lives. So we got Torkoal. He can do a lot of damage with Heat Wave or Overheat. And you can pretty much use Overheat with no drawback thanks to the eject button. He gets hit, he's out of there. And this is number one, too, because of Overheat, and also so we can reset the Sun whenever he takes a dip. And then we got Volcarona. Now, this was kind of more of an experiment. I was curious if the Clear Amulet worked for, like, Overheat. It doesn't. But even so, it still does protect from Snarls, so it's still pretty nice to have. And also with Terrifier plus Sun, even with the stat drops from Overheat, Volcarona is going to be one-shotting a lot of things with Overheat. Like, the stat drops from using Overheat really don't affect it that much in the Sun. So it's still good, and it can't be snarled, so the only stat drops you get are from your Overheats. So this is where the team gets a little weird. The fastest Pokemon with Chlorophyll in Scarlet and Violet is Jumpluff. And you know what? Jumpluff is actually really good. You get the fastest Sleep Powder in the game, the fastest Tailwind in the game, the fastest pretty much everything in the game. And you know what? I have never missed a Sleep Powder. You know, it's got 75% accuracy. I've never missed a Sleep Powder. So I would honestly argue that Jumpluff in the Sun is more of a threat than Amoonguss. Jumpluff, if left unchecked, can completely shut down an entire team, win games all on its own. Jump Pluff is next level. And of course, but a fire type move can, especially in the sun, can bring it down, so Tera Dragon. Tera Water can also work, but, you know, Dragon's, like, way cooler. And I've been going back and forth between Strength Sap and Synthesis, but, you know, the attack drop from Strength Sap is kind of, you know, you heal less, but it's kind of more useful. And Pollen Puff is basically, you know, heal pulse. You're not going to be doing any damage with it, let me tell you, the base 55 special attack. But yeah, Jump Bluff is good. Jump Up. When I, you know, was looking for a Chlorophyll user, and, you know, I ranked it by speed, and I saw Jump Bluff was number 1. I was like, oh, no. But, yeah, he's good. He's good. Jump Bluff doesn't mess around. Don't sleep on Jump Bluff, or he'll sleep on you. I can explain. The Pokemon with the highest special attack in Scarlet and Violet with solar power is Charizard. But Charizard is not currently legal in VGC. So the runner-up is Sunflora. Oh, God. And that's what I said when I found this out. You know, similar reaction I had with Jump Bluff. And Sunflora is not as good as Jump Bluff, but it's not that bad. With Terrifier and Fire-type Tera Blast, anything weak to fire is being one-shot by Sunflora. And, you know, Growth gives you +2 in every stat in the sun. Well, not every stat, too, though. Offensive stats. So you can do big damage with Solar Beam and Dazzling Gleam, not just Tera Blast. Only problem is, it's got base 30 speed, so you will only be using, and does not have great defenses. So you will only be using Sunflora as a Trick Room counter. But if you play your cards right and you play smart, Sunflora can sweep the entire team. I'm not joking. Again, it didn't surprise me. It's not as good as Jump Bluff, where it's like, I believe Jump Bluff is just objectively good. I do not believe Sunflora is objectively good, but I believe in the right hands, Sunflora can be a monster. So I would sleep on Sunflora, but I wouldn't totally write it off either. Again, Tera Blast, Life Orb, Sun, Fire type, this thing is destroying everything. As long as you can do that in Trick Room, otherwise, you know, Sunflora is a sitting duck. Next we have Baxcalibur. This is the other loaded dice guy I wanted to use. You know, it's between him and Breloom. So I thought, like, hey, you know, he's got with Thermal Exchange. You know, that could work on the Sun team. You know, his attack goes up when he gets hit by a fire type move. So I chose Dragon as his Tera type. You can also choose Ice or Water. Ice is very risky, but it does make the Icicle Spear stronger. So that could kind of be, you know, your check on the Cloister checklist. For the attack, you know, again, you've got Tailwind for the speed. You could also say, you know, Thermal Exchange is the Cloister, is the attack on the Cloister checklist, but honestly, I've never had this Brock. So take that with a grain of salt. But yeah, Baxcalibur, he's got higher stats than Breloom all across the board. You know, Breloom 200 attack, that is exactly what Breloom got with max attack, and he's only got 132 in there, so he's faster than Breloom, he's got better bulk than Breloom, he's got higher attack than Breloom, but he doesn't get Technician. But if you can somehow bait your opponent into hitting you with a fire type attack, and hopefully you Tera into Dragon so you resist it, you know, then he doesn't need Technician. And I can explain this too. Last guy on our team is Tatsugiri. So if you look at his stats, he's got base 120 special attack. That's not bad at all. His speed, you know, it's kind of average, kind of mid, but we have Choice Scarf. Now, since Sun only works for 5 turns, it is totally valid to have a water type move on the team. So I call this the seared sushi. The seared sushi strategy. He's got Tera Fire and he's got Tera Blast. He can do pretty much the same thing that Sunflora does, just, you know, not in a Trick Room. And a lot of people just think Tatsugiri is, you know, just something to buff Dondozo. But again, his stats are not that bad. So a lot of people write him off as, and, you know, if you use Tatsugiri or you use Dondozo, you have to use them together. They work best together, but you absolutely do not have to use them together. To that effect, Dondozo is extremely bulky. You know, he won't do as much damage as he would without Tatsugiri, but he can also be decent on his own, so can Tatsugiri. You can absolutely use them. Of course, they work better together, but you can absolutely use them alone. Don't let anyone tell you the otherwise, because it's not true. He's got pretty good stats, you know. So it's basically, if you use Tatsugiri alone, you're sacrificing the bulk. If you use Dondozo alone, you're sacrificing the attack, the offense. So if you use one of them alone, you take one or the other. But I didn't have space for Dondozo on the team. And I was originally going to use Gastrodon, but then I looked at Tatsugiri's stats, and I was like, wait, that's better. That's better than Gastrodon. I don't need Gastrodon, I'll use Sushi Man. So yeah, that is one very wonky Sun team. But honestly, it works. And of course, I have one more team. I'll go over it when the year's over. Or maybe if I end up changing it by you know, the rule set change, which I probably will, because I use Golden Go on that team, and I hate Golden Go with a passion, because it looks so fucking dumb. It's literally a fucking cheese stick. But it's like so good, it's completely like you can't not use it. So I might just like take any excuse to like not use Golden Go because I hate it. But it's like too good. You like have to use it because it's too good. I might. No, I won't say anymore. But that team's hanging out on Cerebi. The Cerebi forums, because that's where I always kind of go. This is probably the last time I post a team there, because it's super dead, unfortunately, over there on forums. It was such a shame. It used to be my go-to place to get a second opinion on something. So if you want to go over there, you know, that's where I posted it. You can check it out there. It would be nice to get some more eyes on it, you know, get some more second opinions. If you use one of these 3 teams, that would make me very happy, and I hope you do. If we could get 3 people here, and each one of them uses one of these teams, that would be awesome. But yeah, I don't really have anything more to say. I feel like I do, because I feel like I knew exactly what I wanted to say about each of these, and once I press the record button, you know, turn on the camera, it's like it feels like all that just like left my brain. But yeah, it is what it is. I don't know Iona's outro, or I don't even know if she has an outro. So instead, we're the Mario Brothers, and plumbing's our game. We're not like the others who get all the fame. When your sink is in trouble, call us on the double. We'll faster than the others, you'll be hooked on the brothers. Woo!